Welcome back to part two, everyone. I hope you're keeping very well. I hope you enjoyed part one. This is it so far, looking quite nice. You can begin to see the waves coming to life, can't you? So look, we'll crack on and we'll start getting in some highlights and all of that kind of stuff. We'll see if we can finish this and make a nice painting, okay? I'm going to go back to my brush. Now, I was using this brush in part one to create all these nice little waves. It's a simple, cheap, soft synthetic brush, and it's nice and flat and pointy. You see that? That's what you want, a nice flat pointy brush. Gives you these lovely little fine lines. So I'm going to start putting in some lighter colours. Let me just make sure this is a little bit on the clean side. Not spotless, but a little bit. I'll take some phthalo blue and some white. And now again, this is very wet, so I don't need any thinners. I'm just using paint on its own. And I want to get a very kind of a vibrant light blue, a very rich blue, but very vibrant blue at the same time. It's difficult to explain, but this sort of nice rich blue. Let me just try this now first. Okay, that's not bad. You see that? So I'm just kind of popping in a few highlights here and there, just to start bringing the painting to life. Just a few little highlights to get some, you know. And this is a very slow process now. This is not something which is going to happen in a few minutes. Let's take our time and just, you know, enjoy the painting. That's what I say. Let's enjoy the painting. A couple of nice ones coming up here. Look, some nice. And you know, when I'm painting this, basically nothing is kind of straight. Everything has a movement to it. Okay, that's the secret I find. Everything has a movement. It's not completely straight. So make sure and just keep wiggling your brush around. Keep moving your brush. Don't be afraid. Okay, you see, just keep moving it. Follow the curves of those, so you're hitting the light sides of those darker ones as well. What I mean by that is here, for example, look, put a couple of lights up here, a couple around here, disappearing off, and you can just break up a few of them if you want. I'm going to go into a little bit of magenta because I can see there's a nice pinky shade in there as well, especially around the middle. There's a very nice kind of a pink. So I'm just kind of moving my brush in this fashion, okay? As I'm going along, I'm moving my brush like that, okay? A bit more magenta, a bit of white. Very small amounts of colour when you're doing this. That's what I do. I just kind of pick up little amounts. So look, I'm just moving some nice pinky shades in amongst all of this. And you can begin to see it just starting to come further and further and further to life. Now I am going to go with magenta, some phthalo blue, and plenty of white. This is going to be a nice bright shade. So let's have a go off of this and see what we can create. There we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? So I'm just going up into these darks. Again, clean the tip of your brush only. That just keeps your brush nice and clean at the tip. All right. Let's go up into that. Again, you see, we're just catching some of our highlights. Maybe we could try some cerulean. That'll give us a nice bit of a greeny shade as well. That might be nice. Do you know, just a little bit of cerulean on its own, and just kind of soften it in here and there, just to add a bit of green into the ocean. A little bit of green is no harm, sure it's not. Let's go up here, pop a little bit of a green in there. That will just add to the colours. Just add a little bit of complementing to the colours. Let's go into some white, a little bit of phthalo blue again. We're going brighter this time. So what I tend to do with these types of paintings, I slowly bring in my highlights. I go nice and slow with my highlights. I take my time with them. There's no rush. Absolutely no rush at all. Sometimes I do paint quite quickly, but other times I do like to just take my time. There we go, a little couple down here. And you see, then when the time comes, we can soften a lot of these in together. Nice, kind of a light one popping in down there. Bit more phthalo blue. You see, you keep kind of alternating between colours. You pick a little bit of this colour, a bit of that. It's a very kind of a fine balance, really, what colours you're using. Just kind of take your time, be careful. Don't overdo it too quickly. Just go at a nice little pace. Keep cleaning the brush on some tissue. That's my secret to keeping colours nice and fresh. Keep cleaning your colours. Now, I don't want to overdo this too much either, okay? It's a fine balance. I want to get some nice, rich darks into this. I'm going to clean this brush because this has a lovely point on it, okay? And I prefer sticking with a large brush for this kind of work because if you're using a very small, pointy brush, it forces you to kind of go in and look for details, whereas using a large one like this, I find it just stops you from focusing too much on details. It really does. You should try it. If you're used to using small detail brushes all the time, try this for a change and just let me know how it goes, all right? Just let me know. I think it'll make a big difference to your painting. Let's just keep going into this, mixing phthalo blue and black. We have a nice kind of a black darkness down at the back here, don't we? Clean the brush again, back in. So it's all about that, cleaning the brush, going back, cleaning the brush, going back. That's what I find works best. And create a little bit of, and you see the way everything is just nice and kind of wiggly and soft, you know? That's what I would say. Just keep everything nice and soft. We have a nice little one that comes up here, it kind of dips down, doesn't it? Like so. Back into some black. Up here. So there's a couple of nice kind of pieces that just jump out, isn't there? And that's what I tend to do. I kind of go in and I focus on the pieces that are just catching the eye and indeed catching the light. They're the ones that I kind of focus on, the chunky ones, you know, the big dark patches. So I do kind of generally focus on those first. And I go in here with the detail brush later and just kind of, you know, pop in a couple of little thin lines here and there. Now let's get some more of that black. Go up here and just go along, darken this one down just a bit. We have another nice dark here that just kind of floats along and disappears out, don't we? Okay, so that's another nice one up there. We have a couple up here that just pop in and out as well. And we have a couple of nice ones. This gets nice and dark down here as well at the back, doesn't it? Now I'm getting more phthalo blue on my palette. I'm running out of phthalo blue. Let's grab some of that. Get some nice rich colour going in here. Phthalo blue, a little bit of black. So you can see how the dark colours are very important because the darker colours will complement the lighter colours in painting. So they're bouncing off each other, you see. Okay, so far so good. Not bad, I don't think. I get a smaller brush and I'm going to start putting in some lighter shades before we concentrate on the sun and the warm colours. Alright, I'm just going to take some white and some phthalo blue, a little bit of thinners just to thin it out, make it nice and creamy. And with that then we can just really go in and get some proper little, you see, proper little lines, little highlights. And those little highlights now will make all the difference. They'll stand out. We have a couple coming up in here, don't we? Like so. Again, keep your brush clean, just keep washing your brush. And we have a couple of subtle ones just kind of at the back here. Now you may not notice these initially, but eventually when it's finished you'll start spotting all these little highlights. I'm going to leave this area. I'm not too worried about that for now. Let's get a little bit of light coming off of this. It's just literally breaking up some of the darks. Couple up here. Everything really in the painting is just kind of these loose brush strokes, isn't it? But when you think about it and you look at it carefully, that's basically what it is. It's just lots of these kind of loose brush strokes coming in. Now I am going to go to a palette knife as well very shortly, because I think a palette knife will give us a lovely movement in the water also. Now, I'll stop at that for a moment. I'm going to take my small blender brush and I'm going to just soften some of these away, okay? Just very gently. I'll be honest, I don't even know where I'm softening, but I just think it might be nice if I just gave some of this a bit of a soften out, just to help it kind of soften back into the ocean slightly. Give it that nice soft, swishy kind of a feeling. I think you'll know what I mean. It's just soften, it takes the edge off of the paint and it just makes everything nice and soft and relaxing to look at. There we go. Now, I think that's a bit better. I'm going to get a small flat brush, something like this. I'm going to go right into some black and I'm just going to go really dark, maybe some magenta as well. I'm going to go really dark and black just along around this area here, okay? I just want to really darken that down because I want a lovely contrast. Let's go up here and just give it a little dab as well. So just picking out some of the darks again. That's all it is. And you know, it's just remember, because your darks really are what catches the eye as much as the lights. You need to have as many darks as lights just for a bit of balance. So you see how that rich darker colour there now, it just really, really catches your eye, doesn't it? It draws you into the painting. And I'm just going to put a couple of warm pinks into that, maybe a bit of Naples yellow. I'm just going to pop a couple of warm pinks in there just to break it up and also just warm that darkness as well. Now you might not be able to see that, but I can. And I think finally a couple of more brights just in around here, look. Just to break it up ever so gently. Shall we try a palette knife? I think we'll try this palette knife and see if we can get a little bit of texture in those highlights. Phthalo blue and white. I think we'll try it, come on. Let's just go like this. Let's just go right up into those darks, break it up and see, can we just create that little bit of roughness in the water. I think that helps, just a bit. Now I won't overdo it, but I think that does help just a little bit. Just to give a little bit of texture through those darks. Let's get some of this sun colour on. This may be a little tricky because this painting is very wet now, and trying to get that colour in here might be a little bit tricky, so I'm going to be careful. And let me get some Naples yellow. I'm going to start with a very warm pink first, okay? I know you probably don't see any pink in that yellowy kind of reflection, but I'm going to start with a warm pink. I'm going to get some magenta and Naples yellow first. All right. This will just help stop any muddiness. You can't, because if I put yellow and orangey colours onto this, it's going to get muddy very, very quickly. So I tend to go with a soft pink first. Let me just have a look. The sun is here. Let's just pop a little bit of a soft pink across it first, like that. Look, okay. There's a bit catching down here, like this. Okay. And it kind of comes down onto this, and you see the way I'm softening this pinky colour through the blue, ever so gently. Look. You can kind of see now how that kind of, it's helping just to start the beginning of the yellows, so we won't have the problem then of muddy colours over all of this. We have some nice ones. I'm going to go a little bit up here as well, look, like that. Maybe try a tiny bit of orange along the top of this. So we now start catching some of the highlights on the tops of the water here, okay? I might try a touch of yellow in this and just very gently pop that on there like that. It's all about the glisten, isn't it? You know, see the way it kind of glistens from the sun? So that's what I will try and create. A little bit along here like that, then up by the sun, like so. Back into magenta, a little bit of Naples yellow, a bit more Naples yellow in this at this stage. Now I think I should come down and start working on this side down here. There's a lot of this kind of stuff going on down here, isn't there? Just at the corner. And not to worry, the rich yellows will come very shortly. I'm just taking my time and building up to the yellow, okay? That's very important. Remember, try not to put yellow just on there immediately. Let's just take our time. There's absolutely no rush with all of this. Well, let me get a fan brush. I'm just going to try and soften that away ever so slightly. Just with the fan brush, make it look a little you know, a little rough and all of that. Next we go into the yellows. Come on, this is the final kind of chapter. Let's go into some yellow and let's pick up a little bit of cadmium red first. I'm going to start with a very rich orange first, okay? This lovely rich deep orange. Let's start with this, come on. Let's have a bit of fun with this. Let's get that rich orange in here just to start the warmth of that glow, okay? We have a little bit around up here, dabbing it very gently with the palette knife. And I'm kind of trying to keep this on the pink. That's very important. Keep it on the pink. A little bit of red, a bit of cadmium yellow. Go nice and rich and deep with this. All these colours will jump out at you later on. So come on, let's just have a bit of fun with all of this. I'll keep going over this now with the fan brush just to gently soften it back in. Okay, I need some cadmium yellow and then we're going to put on these very bright highlights. And then we're nearly finished, my friends. Now let me know what you thought about this as a tutorial. I'd like to know, I really would. Grab some rich yellow and let's just pop some rich yellow right in the middle there. So you can see now it's kind of staying better because we're not going over blues. We're going over pinks. So it tends to kind of just stay much better on the canvas, and as well with the palette knife, you're not kind of mixing it through so much as you would with the brush, okay? So that does help as well. Lastly, yellow and white. Right, be careful not to touch the blue. Just a nice bright yellow and white. Now can you see how that's kind of just sticking? A little bit better with the palette knife. Down here, let's add a little bit to this here. I've got my fan brush again and I am just going to literally push and drag those down. Just to create that effect of, you see the way they just kind of stretch from the light, from the sun. So just pull them like this. These ones not so much. Down here, we can just add a couple of warm colours in around here. A couple of dabs with the fan brush perhaps. Grab a little bit of yellow. Just down on that side. I'm going to try my soft blender brush. I think I'll try it. Just try and soften them down ever so slightly. Then soften them up. Now I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to take some dark colour. I'm going to bring some dark colour again out through here just to break this area up slightly. Just a couple of darks. And finally, let me just back in and soften some of these away. I just want to kind of, you know, soften them out ever so gently. Take a little bit of white, dab a little bit of white here and there through those highlights just to pick them up a little bit more. Now I'm going to go into some black and some blue. I'm going to just bring some of this around like that. And I'm not even looking at the reference photograph now at this stage, I'll be honest. I'm just kind of going my own way with all of this. Sometimes, when you're getting to the end, it's nice, I think, sometimes I just turn off my reference photograph, my photograph next to me, and I just kind of go my own way. I just kind of go in there on my own and just pop some colour here and there. Just see what happens, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's the best way of doing it. Anyway, I hope I have helped you with your painting. I'm going to just kind of maybe soften some of these away because they might be a little bit on the bright side or the thick side even. It's up to yourself if you want to soften them away slightly or leave them. It's completely your decision. I think they're probably not too bad. Maybe it just needs a little bit of white here and there. A little bit there, look. Maybe a touch of it on the tops of them. You could pop a little bit on these here. You know, just to catch more highlights, so to speak. And I think I just need to lose some of this in here. Just a little bit. And then I'll pop a couple of lights through that just again. Because I don't want to lose that darkness too much with that yellow. Does that make sense? And clean my fan brush one last time. Maybe drag that just a touch. And these as well. That just gives you that sort of a glisten. You know that glisten you get on the water? Be a lovely little glisten. And my friends, I am going to leave it at that. You know, I could keep going, but I fear if I keep going, I could just mess it up completely, entirely. Maybe just up around here, add a little bit of warmth for that sun. Again, just a little bit more. And there we are. And I'm going to stop at that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have learned something from this. If anything, just to keep it simple. And don't try and go in and make every single detail count. You saw what I did. It was just long brush strokes, very fast kind of brush strokes, nothing too serious, so to speak, just nice, gentle brush strokes. And I think that looks quite nice. I'm happy enough with that. I mean, for a 1 hour tutorial, I think that looks quite good, doesn't it? Isn't that just eye-catching now? Look at that. Let me fix the camera. And there we are. I think that looks quite nice. And it took us, I don't know, 60 minutes, maybe 70 minutes, something like that, maybe less. I think that looks quite good for that kind of a tutorial. And it's very eye-catching. With a frame, I think that's going to look very, very eye-catching. A nice bright white frame. So I will make a frame and I'll show you in the next video when it's framed. I'll hang it up on the wall and show you what it looks like. And you'll see the difference the frame makes. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and like, please. And let's share the channel out there. Get more people watching, more people learning. You have a great day. Thank you very, very much for your support, and I will be back very, very soon with another tutorial. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your day. God bless and take care.